Okay, the first thing you're going to do to make a game called Pong is you're going to create some sprites for the bats. So this is the little Pac-Man symbol, is the sprite editor, opens up our sprite icon. I'm going to call the first one sprite underscore bat left, and I'm going to say edit sprite, and I'm going to create a new sprite by clicking here, and the sprite's going to be 8 pixels wide by 32 pixels high. Say OK, and I'm going to double click the sprite to go into edit it. Now all I want to do is give it a colour, so I'm going to make the left one a red colour, so I've just chosen red from here, and I'm going to go for my fill colour, which is the one that looks like a bucket, this one here. I'm going to pour my colour in. That's all I need to do. I'm going to tick it and say yes. I can have show preview on, that's fine. Tick it to say yes and say OK. And there's my sprite up here. I'm going to do exactly the same thing for my right sprite. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to choose, call it SPR bat, and this time I'm going to call it underscore right. And I'm going to make this one a yellow colour. I'm going to edit my sprite. I'm going to choose a new one. I'm going to make it 8 by 32. I'm going to double click on it, and this time I'm going to choose yellow as the fill colour, and I'm going to fill it up. And again I'm going to tick yes, and click OK. So there's my two sprites for my bats, my left bat and my right bat. Next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a sprite for the ball. So I'm going to go to the sprite again, choose it. This time I'm going to call it something like SPR underscore ball. I'm going to edit my sprite again. This time I need to make it about 16 by 16 in size. Say OK. Double click it to edit it. I'm going to go in. This time all I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in so I can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to make a ball. I'm going to go for a circle, and I'm going to use this fill star, so it's only got one colour on the inside, it hasn't got an outside colour, and I'm going to choose anti-alias to smooth the edges, and I'm going to choose blue as the colour. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to drag from somewhere up here outwards towards the other corner to make my ball shape, and that'll do. Okay, when I'm happy with that, I'm going to click tick, and click OK, and there's my sprite ball ready to go. Okay, next thing we need to do is to make a wall. So I'm going to choose the sprite here to create a wall sprite, and I'm going to name it SPR underscore wall, and I'm going to say edit sprite. I'm going to create a new sprite, and I'm going to set the width and the height to 16. Say OK. Next thing we need to do is we need to double click the sprite when we need to make it a bit bigger, and we're going to fill it with a colour. So I'm going to choose, I think, a dark green kind of colour, and just pour that in. Click tick to say OK, to say OK again, and finally OK again, and there's our sprite for the wall ready to go. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make some sprites for our scoring. So again I'm going to go to the sprite menu. I'm going to call this first one sprite underscore score left. I need a capital S there, put a little S in, and say edit sprite. I'm going to create a new sprite. Again I'm going to make it 16 by 16. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to edit that sprite by double clicking it. This time for the left colour I'm going to choose red, and I'm going to fill once I've zoomed in again. Use my fill, and there's that one. Tick it again, say OK. I need to do exactly the same thing for the right, so I'm going to create one called sprite underscore score right. I'm going to create a new sprite. I'm going to make it 16 by 16 again, say OK. I'm going to edit it. This time I'm going to make it yellow. Zoom in so I can see it a bit better. Choose a yellow colour and fill that one. Say yes, yes, yes again. So there, now I've got my two score things set up, and you'll notice that so the bats and the scores are the same colour. Left is red and right is yellow. Okay, next thing we need to do is to make some objects. We're going to first start off with our bat objects, and what we want to be able to do is to make them basically go up and down. So we've got one for the left player, one for the right player, and to do that we want to use some keyboard shortcuts to actually operate them. So I'm going to start off with an object. First one I'm going to do is going to be the bat left, and I'm going to choose for an icon the bat left object. There we go, sprite bat left, and I'm going to add an event. And the event I'm going to add is going to be a keyboard, and what I want to do is I want to choose a letter, and I'm going to use a letter W to go up, because if you look on the keyboard, the left hand side is a W, this is where the W is, and we can use the S as the down one in a minute. So there's the W key. We need to do something when we press it, so I'm going to drag in this jump position, and what I want to do is I want to set this Y value to -10. So that means it will jump up that many pixels when I basically press the button. And I'm going to make it relative, which means it does, so if I press it the first time it jumps 10, if I press it a second time it jumps another 10, rather than going back to the beginning. So I'm going to say OK to that, and I need to add a down one as well, so I'm going to add another event, keyboard again. This time I'm going to go for a different letter, so I'm going to go for the S letter, which is just below the W on the keyboard, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bring in a jump event. This time, instead of a -10, I'm going to have a 10, and again I'm going to set it to relative, and I'm going to click OK. So this should now mean that I've got an up and down key on my keyboard for my left bat, which is the red one. Okay, so I'm going to say OK to that. Okay, we're now going to do exactly the same thing for the to create the right bat. So I'm going to go for my object. This time I'm going to call it object bat right. I'm going to choose my icon for it. There's my bat right, my yellow one, and I'm going to add an event. Go to a keyboard event. This time I'm going to use the up button, which is on the right hand side of your keyboard, and same thing, I want a jump position for it, so I'm going to use a -10 for the Y position and make it relative. Say OK, and I'm going to bring in the same thing to do a down one. I'm going to add an event, go to keyboard, choose the down button, bring in a jump event, and this time I'm going to make it a +10, make it relative, and again say OK.